Good morning. I herewith open this public meeting of the Island Council of St. Eustatius for today, Thursday, February 5th. I would like to welcome those in our hall as well as the general public listening by way of radio. And at this moment, I ask us all to please stand in respect of the local anthem, the Golden Rock Song. You may be seated. Agenda point 2 is announcements. I look to the members of the Island Council if there are any announcements at this time. No announcements. I have received word that Councilman Simmons is absent without notice. With notice. Agenda 3 is the setting of the agenda. I will first read the agenda as was published. Opening is agenda point 1. Agenda point 2 is announcements. 3 is setting of the agenda. 4, ratification of list of incoming documents. 5, ratification of list of decisions and commitments of the meetings of November 25th, 2025, December 18th, and December 22nd, 2025. 6, Island Council Ordinance Child Care, St. Eustatius. 7, Framework Establishment Foundation, Statia 2026. 8, Travel Dates Island Council, St. Eustatius 2026. 9, announcements of the Executive Council and the Island Governor in accordance to Articles 51 and 52 of the Regulation of Order of the Island Council, and 10 is closing. Can we agree to proceed with the agenda as published, or are there any wishes for additions to the agenda? I conclude that there are no additions to the agenda, and I herewith ratify the agenda as published. We go right away into agenda point 4, which is the ratification of incoming documents. As customary, the members of the Island Council have all received the list of incoming documents, and if we can agree, I would suggest, unless there are any comments, suggestions, that we go over to adopting or ratifying the list of incoming documents. What say you, members of the Island Council? List of incoming documents is herewith ratified. Agenda point 5 is the ratification of the decision list of the meeting of November 20th, December 18th, and December 22nd of the previous year, 2025. Each council member has received the decision list of the meetings of the Island Council of December 20th. Are there any comments, members of the Island Council, with regards to this decision list? I herewith ratify the decision list of the meeting of the 20th of November 2025. Regarding the meeting of the December 18th, here too, you would have received the decision list of the 18th of December 2025. And what is your response? Are there any comments, suggestions? I herewith ratify the decision list of December 18th, 2025. And finally, we look at the decision list of December 22nd, 2025. Members of the Island Council, I herewith ratify the decision list of December 22nd, 2025, herewith concluding agenda point 5. Agenda 6 is Island Ordinance on Childcare, St. Eustatius. We will now continue Agenda 6 because this is a very important island ordinance for our island. This ordinance was presented to the Central Committee on January 22nd by the Director of Social Domain, Mrs. Carol Jack, and her team. This draft ordinance regulates who can operate childcare, what standards they must follow, how quality is monitored, how parents are involved, and how complaints must be handled. I now look to the Commissioner for any additional information and the proposal for this ordinance. Commissioner Merkman of Social Domain, I give you the word.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This, as you indicated, it was discussed in the Central Committee, and what you mentioned about the operating permit and quality committee, healthy food, complaints procedure, parent committee. Those are all things that we have discussed, and I think this is a good step in the right direction for our children on station, where they are safeguarded from a lot of ills. With this, you also hope to be able to, with the healthy foods that is going to be required, that our children will be more healthy, because we know we have, when it's whatever starts small, at the end, when they are big, it's most likely they're going to be doing the same things, what you're taught during your baby and formative years. So with this ordinance, this is something that is going to be good for the island, and it also comes with the necessary financing. So I would encourage the council to support this initiative from the Department of Social Domain. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Merkman. Members of the Island Council, is there a need to debate this topic further, or can we go forward with a vote? Then we will then go over to the voting, and I will ask each member to, in the order of attendance. The first is Councilman Clyde Van Putten. Second is Councilman Glenville Schmidt. Third is Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty. And fourth, Council Lady Mercedes Lopes-Spanner. Councilman Van Putten, you may express your vote, or we want to do it by acclamation?
I want to motivate my vote. Good morning to all concerns. I just want to commend the persons who have worked diligently on this piece of legislation. I think we so often project that the children are the future of the country, and indeed they are. And so I believe that this piece of legislation, Island Ordinance, is very much in place. So I congratulate the government and the relevant departments that support them in making this a reality, that it will reach to this house. So I vote in favor.
Thank you, Councilman Clyde Van Putten. Councilman Glenville Schmidt.
Morning. I vote in favor of the ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty.
Good morning. Madam Chair, I vote for.
Thank you, Council Lady Spanner-Carty. Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner.
Good morning, everyone. I vote for.
Thank you, Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner. And with this, the vote is a majority by full attendance, four votes for, and this ordinance is herewith carried. Agenda 7 is the Framework Establishment Foundation, STATIA 2026. The framework, this topic was also discussed during the Central Committee meeting of January 22nd and was presented by Mr. Ramy Richardson and Nicole Asin, who are the program managers for the Region Deal projects. I will now give the opportunity to Commissioner Leerdam to give any further elucidation before going over to the members of the Island Council. Commissioner Leerdam.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. As you explained, it was also discussed extensively in the Central Committee. And again, I would like to ask the Council for their permission for establishing this foundation because of the priorities that we like to achieve based on the non-region deals of 2026. Just to note, and which was also explained, there are funding already lined up for this foundation that we can start to receive once it's established. And we're hoping that while the time is short, we still are very much optimistic that we were able to achieve some of these non-region deals through some of these fundings that is basically afforded to us. We were able to hopefully meet all the concerns of the council in terms of the foundation, and I will leave it to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Leerdam. Members of the Island Council, we will now, is there a need for any further deliberation? I see a signal from Councilman Van Putten. Anyone else? Anyone else? Councilman Van Putten, you may address the meeting.
Madam Speaker, indeed, as was stated by the government, that this issue was at the desk of the Central Committee, I think, over.
Just a moment. I just want to, for public information and awareness, we have recently approved a new regulation of order, and in that regulation of order, there is a speaking time for the first round is 10 minutes, and the second round is, I believe, 8 minutes. I just wanted to establish that for public awareness. You may continue, Councilman Van Putten.
Yes, Madam Speaker, as I indicated, that as was brought forward, that there was a meeting of the Central Committee where this matter indeed came to the Central Committee. I think that a lot of focus and anticipation is on 2026, but as an elected official, I have been receiving a lot of concerns, and within my own mind, there's a lot of concern. Today, I think it's the 5th of February, and we are talking about the 16th of November, when this grand fete, the finale of this grand 250 years, would become a reality. Now I understood that indeed that monies was made available for the regional deal, and I think that a number of the projects was identified. I think there may have been shifts here and there. And I remember in our party house, we spoke about the need to get additional funds because it was clear from government side that there was not enough money. And I remember at the time mentioning that probably a mixed committee from the executive and legislative branches of the government should go to the US and elsewhere to get money. Apparently this was not followed up, but I think sometime in the latter part of last year, I remember at the meeting it was announced that members of the government was traveling abroad to seek funds. I think you were more explicit in that meeting in indicating to some extent why you all was traveling abroad. But this trip came and there were no reports whatsoever. I'm just assuming that part of the visit to the United States was to rally financial support that will contribute towards this program. Another thing I think in last year, the year before, a proposal came where there was a group, I don't know if they were here on stage or in Europe, that wanted to put a similar foundation in place where they would ask for funds on behalf of Station. While I did not oppose it, I asked critical questions as to the person who will be involved, who they will give accountability to, who would make decisions how the monies will be spent. And I think we were promised that we would be sent information, and I'm getting old, so I can't remember if indeed that this was sent. But what I want to say that I don't oppose the efforts of the government to establish this foundation, but I'm extremely concerned that I think that it was back in 1976. I think we celebrated 200 years then. I don't remember. But in any event, at this late stage in the game, I would have thought that government would have had a long year of activity that will culminate on the 16th of November. And to this date, I have not seen government presenting anything, not even for the week of activities that they usually have. But I think with such a momentous, because people see it as a grand time, 250 years, that I would have wanted to believe that throughout the year, that, we would have every month, different activities taking place. Because people are calling from all over, indicating that they are coming. So I would like for the government, I would support the intention of the proposal as put forward by the government. And I would give them the benefit of the doubt, because I think that financial oversight is the responsibility of the Island Council. But the government has, they said that their monies that they could have, they don't want it come directly in the coffers of the government, go to this foundation. But I will hold government feet to the fire to ensure that once these funds comes in, that proper accountability will be given. I also believe that there should be more transparency, Madam Speaker, leading up, to this 250 years. And I had asked earlier if there was a committee, because I know the Netherlands is also involved. And I know when it comes around foreign affairs, that is at the feet of the national government in the Netherlands. But I also believe that there should be a local committee, and whatever committee at the kingdom level, I also believe that we should have a very integral part of this, because as I indicated before, this 250 years should be about Station. I am old enough to remember in 1976, in the days of the Netherlands Antilles, a lot of money was received. There was gold coins and all kinds of different things. And the Antillean government received a tremendous amount of money. And to this date, I think that Station was left with the empty brown bag, a Kruger's bag, as we would say here in Station. And so I would hope that this would not become solely a kingdom affair, but that it would be a fair for the people here on the island. I know people have different misgivings, but as I said to people, fact is it took place. The 250 years ago, it took place, and it's a reality. The people was impacted, some negatively, others have different opinion about it. I am not condemning it. It is what it is. But at the same point, I would want to hear from the government as to what the plans are, who the committee are, locally, what are the preparations leading up, because I don't believe in this last minute business and then a week before, because again, even invitations, I spoke with Council Lady Loeb Spanner in the past about it, because I know she used to be involved in that as well. People don't wait on the last minute to make the agendas. People do the agendas months in advance. And already we are almost at the end of February. Nobody could believe that today is the 5th of February. So I would like for government during this sitting to give, even if it's a brief elucidation as to where we are. The money is from the regional deal. It's not enough. The fourth, I understood, is where the event will take place. Every day I go to the Parliament building, as I call it. I can't get into my office because it's still without the floor. We don't know what is going on, how the monies are being used. I think that this is the moment that the government should explain to the people via this House what is going on leading up to this 250 years. And Madam Speaker, as I said, I would support the committee, but I will hold government accountable to make sure that it be transparent. And I also would like to hear what was the result of the trip that was made by members of the government to the United States in the latter part of 2025. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Councilman Clyde Van Putten. I will, at this time, request Nicole Asin, who's here from the program office. And because I was part of that visit as well, I will give an elucidation as to what our role was there and what we have been able to achieve since, I believe it was early October 2025 that that visit took place to the United States. Nicola Sin is one of the program managers of the region deal, and we will allow her to briefly, once again, elucidate. Nicole? Maybe she can share this moment with you, Commissioner. Going to use this? Yes. She will come over here, Miss Nicole. You take it over there for me, please, sir. Yes. Yeah, take it over there for her, please. Yes, stay there, yes. I just wanted to make sure, are there any further questions from the council? So because we did indicate, I think 3 people were ready for the vote, but the councilman indicated a wish to ask further questions so that I can make sure that all the questions are accumulated at once. Council Lady Spanner, you would like to? Nicole, hold a minute. I will allow the council lady to add her questions so that when you are able to answer, it's done at once.
Yes, I also want to ask, what's the preparation with housing? Because so many people is contacting me concerning housing, and we don't have any housing. So that's important, I think, for people to be able to book, to know if it's possible that they will get somewhere to stay. So that is important to hear this morning about the housing, if there's any availability for Statia Day. As Councilman Van Putten mentioned, many people want to come, but they have nowhere to stay. Okay, he didn't mention that, but I am adding that they don't have anywhere to stay, but they are very interested in being here.
Nicole, you will go through the questions, and Commissioner Leardam will answer because she's involved with a project to ensure housing by the November 16th. You may continue, Nicola Sin.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dr. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So our trip to the United States was mainly because we wanted them to know the role of Statia, because November 16th is Statia Day, but of course we also mentioned the United States, but we wanted to make sure that the United States knows Statia and the role played. And they did know. The Weizmann Museum actually told us that they were going to have a exposition where Statia will be displayed, a full floor about Statia and the role Statia played. That will be launched the 21st of April. That is the opening, and the public opening will be the 23rd of April 2026, where there will be a year-long an exposition in which Statia and the role Statia played will be displayed. We saw what they were going to do. We saw where the exposition will be. We got a tour, and it's going to be beautiful. So I think that will be for Statia, really memorable and an honor that they will be seen. What we also did is we went to the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. Philadelphia will play a big role with USA 250 years. They have a lot of things that will be displayed, but also the World Cup will be there. So a lot of people will be in Philadelphia. And they made sure that also Statia will be displayed in the National Constitution Center. Also, where it will be, we could see, but it wasn't open for the public as yet. They were still busy with actually the displays. So this year, we are already officially invited by the Weizmann Museum in Philadelphia to take part, and the governor is also invited to speak because they definitely want to put Statia on the stage. Also, because of that, the Weizmann Museum sent a group for a documentary, and it was recently filmed here in Statia. That was 2 weeks ago, actually, that they were here and busy. And that will also be, by that time, it will roll out that documentary about Statia and the role the Jewish community played in Statia back in the days. Furthermore, because it didn't stop there, we went to William and Mary University, who have 400 boxes with artifacts of Statia. And they said that they are willing to actually give us back all the artifacts. Well, they need to give it back, but they were saying that we need to decide how we would like to get it back. If we want to have it fully processed or the raw materials. And we also got an offer of the US Army or the Navy to transport these artifacts back to St. Eustatius. So with that visit, actually, we could discuss all these things. There needs to be a follow-up because these were the first discussions, but they would like to know what is next, how do we want it, and when do we want it. So all these conversations still need to take place. Yeah. Any other questions?
To the portfolio holder, Commissioner Ledam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Councilman Van Putten, for those questions. Oh, yeah. And I indeed agree about the last minute. You know, of course, we don't want to do last minute. It's a big celebration year, and there's a lot that we want to achieve within that year. They have a local committee, so we have the ratio deal managers who are tasked with working on Station Day 2026. This is done in a manner whereby we also have a local task force and a task force within Holland to deal with the foreign affairs aspect for any type of dignitaries coming in, mostly, you know, the higher dignitaries. That comes with not only the protocol, but the security measures and all those different things. There will be an invitation being sent out via the Foreign Affairs Ministry to the high official in the United States, but that has not been sent out yet. They are in discussion when they think that it will be the right time to have it sent out. This will be in collaboration with the local government, where we will see the content of the document and give our feedback, and then this will be then sent out to the official. But we understood that behind the scenes they have been having discussions already, so the official invite will come when they think the time is right. They were hoping to do it by January, but you know how things are moving right now, they decided that it's not the right time to send it as yet. For us locally, we're planning on sending our invite, save the date, and then official invite before the end of March. Together we're coming with the team to get a dry book so we can see what the whole year will look like. Yes, we're in February already. The non-regional deals has programs throughout the year, and that's why establishing this foundation and collecting the funding that is already available help us to promote these projects that we have throughout the year, which will be also explained. I would like to bring it to the Central Committee so we can have a more extensive discussion so you can see what the plans are. Besides that, we're going to finalize the dry book, as I said, and this will be discussed with the council behind closed doors to get your input about Station Week and Station Day. As it pertains to the fort, yes, the idea is to have it celebrated in the fort. We're also experiencing some challenges with I would say, the caretaker of the fort. We have been discussing with BZK how we can circumvent these challenges, because if we don't circumvent these challenges, we're not going to be able to meet the deadline for Station 2026. We had good news that yesterday we got from BZK that they have been in discussion and they are finding positive ways out, whereby maybe Station will take over the project 100%, and no longer is go through the company who manages the fort. The guest house was also part of the ratio deal, but because there was not enough money, it's no longer part of the ratio deal, and we asked to remove it from the ratio deal because that is the management and the maintenance of that building is by BZK via hereby, and we're saying that that is your responsibility. So if the ratio deal doesn't have enough money, then you have to find the money to maintain this building and fix it. Monies were made available. I believe we received 1.5 or 1.7, around a ballpark, $1 million. But of course, we have to work along with the same hereby to discuss how that will be utilized for the building. I told them to discuss with the Griffie because at the end of the day, it's the Island Council building. They were discussing if you want to make some structural changes, maybe have the floor below, the meetings, the offices above, but that's a discussion that they have to have with the council. There's a very difficult client to work with, and we have also expressed that to the Ministry of BZK, that working with the FAB has been very challenging. Even for our local buildings that we're sitting in, maintenance has been an issue. We have been discussing this for a while, so I would say they're not a good landlord. But for the Fort Orania, we're really putting the pressure that we can maintain that project and we can have it finalized. What we are trying to accomplish, which the program manager, Mr. Ramey Richardson, said, at least to have the museum finalized and then the outer shell, and then we will continue until 2028 when the actual project is over. Then we'll actually have the fort finished to what we have it expected to be. In terms of housing, a very critical question. I have reached out to several cruise lines to see if they will be able to have like a floating hotel for us. We're looking at a capacity of 500 because that can dock at our pier without having to go out and come back in. But it seems that it's challenging. We have reached out to a member of the CTO. We have a meeting on Friday, and we're going to discuss how they can assist us in acquiring. We also reach out to several agents who's also looking and will get back to us to see. In the event that we're not able to house those smaller vessels and maybe the bigger ones may be available, then we'll have to look to see what the logistics will be. Maybe a bit more difficult because it can be parked at the harbor. So that is what we're looking at. The funding for that, we're looking to see if we can also get assistance for that, and if not, we can see if we can collect monies through the foundation for this aspect because it's non-region deals. And one of those projects were hosting of officials. So we can consider that as hosting, and the money can be allocated towards something like that. So we're hoping that we can really come back to the council in a closed-door session so we can brainstorm. The idea was to create a steering committee that governs the ratio deal. We have a merging of both levels, but they say by law that is not possible to have the Island Council and the Executive Council. It's either the Island Council can have their own committee and the Executive can have their own committee, but there's no room for mixing the both levels into a sort of committee. So we had to abandon that and we provided another committee in place. But I think it's very important that all is on board, everybody is aware what is taking place because this celebration is a big celebration and it's nothing that can be carried by the Executive Council alone. And I think everybody have a role to play in this. So I hope I was able to answer most of the questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Lerdam. To answer some of your questions, Councilman. I see that the ordinance is called Statia Foundation 26, but we need to look at that it will be a foundation that will take the island into the future. And I think to answer your concern about the accountability, I think what is important is that the Island Council has the instrument of the Statia Audit Chamber, the Rekenkamer. So that gives the Island Council an instrument to ensure whether through research. But I don't believe it needs to go that far. At the moment that the foundation is established and it's functioning, it will do its work in all transparency so that everyone knows the work that they are doing and that they are doing so responsibly and giving the accountability. The visit to the United States, as mentioned by Nicola Sin and by the Commissioner of Culture, was to network. So I think about 4 states in the United States were covered. And I think we have a history that I think will amaze a lot of us on this island, because some of the founding fathers of the United States were people that have ties to this island. Some of the big names that signed on the Proclamation of Independence, we were right across from the institution that manages everything that has to do with the United States history, culture, and heritage in Philadelphia. We also went to the Weizmann Museum, which is the Jewish museum in Philadelphia, and there too, they offered us what I explained about having this big exhibition that will run for an entire year. They will have at least 10 different chapters in that exhibition, of which 7 will cover Statia. 7 of the chapters in that historical account of the first salute and America's independence, because it goes almost hand in hand, will cover St. Eustatius. An invitation was received last week from the Weizmann Museum for the Executive Council to be in United States in April for the opening of this exposition. And I believe in your inbox is already the invitation was extended to the members of the Island Council to decide among yourselves who will be attending, because we think it is an important, 2 members of the Island Council to join us. And the invitation is there for the Island Council to, it's going to be a great moment for Statia, April, and then all of these different opportunities for publicity that we don't have to pay for. That's how you have to look at it. The island gets exposed on the international market. I think what we need to explain about the big match that will take place there on the big screen, when these matches are taking place, Statia will appear on the big scene. We don't have to pay that. Also, the documentary is was produced, directed by a well-known director who we understand this year will receive a Netflix award. So when you link the level of the people that are involved in Statia's first salute story, it will bring a lot of publicity for our island. So the visit to the United States was about creating a network, building links with people that will allow us to get the necessary spotlight. On a broader sense, I think, Van Putten, you asked a very good question. It's not only about 2026, it's what 2026 can do, the region deal can do, 2026 and beyond. We recognize that Statia has always had a powerful story when it comes to the historical gem of the Caribbean, the Golden Rock, America's childhood friend. Those were some of the themes that we have used for the last 30 years, the Caribbean's hidden treasure, you name it. This landmark, this historical story gives Statia the opportunity to position itself as a unique destination in the Caribbean. There is no island that has a story like ours. However, and you said it right, Mr. Van Putten, it was a brutal time, and there was a lot of suffering in that time of our ancestry, but the story is there, and it's trying to use the opportunity to get what we can get out of it. Of course, there are other narratives around it, and that is for the local consumption, because I believe when it came to the whole apology about slavery past, I've always said every voice counts. Every story must be told, and hopefully we can do that in mutual respect. There are those who will have a sympathetic voice, there will have those who will have a forgiving voice, and there's those who will say, I need to heal, or I don't like what happened, and that's all good, as long as every voice is heard. But I believe 2026 creates an opportunity. And for your knowledge, I think you would have seen 2025 Statia Day, we had a little more pump and frill than we had in previous years. So that was kind of a first practice on what can happen in Fort Orania. Of course, it is going to be a lot more high in protocol, etc., but that gave the level of what the island is trying to achieve. Thank you, Councilman. You want to do a second round of questioning, sir? You may.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the government for the explanation given thus far. I think Singh stated that, and all the other speakers, that the government went to the United States. Am I to understand that it was your initiative, the government locally initiative, to go to the U.S., or you were invited? Was there any previous contact? You talk about the upcoming activities that they would have in different parts coming up. I would want to know, because nobody can tell you a story like you. And I live in the United States. I studied there. I heard William and Mary was mentioned. I know about those artifacts. I visited the area on several occasions when they were there. But the bottom line is, like I said, the reality is in the U.S., a lot of people never heard the name Statia. A lot of people don't know about Statia. The center of power, which is Washington, not only the White House, but even the legislative branch of the government, which is the Senate and the Congress. There's a lot of people there. I remember some years ago, 1999, the late Laxton Rouse, who was a personal friend to the then governor of Florida, and simultaneously his brother was in the White House. And there was efforts at that time, made for us to be able to visit and to establish certain conduct. Unfortunately, the powers that be dragged their feet on it, and it never materialized. But I also believe in moving forward, it's important to have the contact at that level. So not only maybe at the White House, but even the people in the legislative branches of government, who is the real power in the United States, that they be also involved. I also would like to know from the government that if there are any plans. I mean, you have a number of groups here on the island. If I mentioned the Alwi dancers, but there are a lot of other cultural and historical groups here on the island that could tell the story better than anybody in the United States. Would there be opportunities? Because if America have money, it's 250 years. We sacrifice and we lost a lot in the process. Is there an opportunity where local stakeholders would be able to be involved in any way? I saw people indeed some weeks ago chewing through the place, taking videos or whatever it was. I didn't know exactly who they were, but I don't know if that's just enough. I think that the people could be physically present. I mean, when I think about people like Joshua Daniel, Ellis Lopes, and many others who've been involved, it would have been so good if these people were here, that they would be able to be there physically, to be able to tell the story and exactly what transpired back then. The artifacts, who would pay for them? I believe that William and Mary is in a position financially to be able to help to facilitate, because these things should have been here years ago. I remember in previous meetings of the Island Council, not in this period, but I have been here for quite some time, I kept asking what have become of these artifacts, because the agreement back then that they came here, they did the archaeological work, and then they would go and make the studies, try to put certain things together and bring them back. But when they bring them back, are we ready? What is the state of the museum? In recent time, I've been hearing they had a civil war going on at the museum. I haven't been there for quite some time. What is the state of the museum? I'm looking at the government now. Is government preparing a facility? If the museum is not in a position to be able to host everything, is government prepared to put a structure in place that they will be able to house these artifacts? Because I think that if November 16th is as big as we know it should be, then if these artifacts are back in time, this is also an opportunity for you to be able to showcase these artifacts and what they would have done with them. So I believe that the William and Mary, the government should engage and try as much as possible for William and Mary to be able to assist. And like I said, if they are not willing to do it, you have a lot of naval vessels coming in these parts of the Caribbean, and I don't think that it will be much problem for them to drop them off to the city pier. I just heard that it was indicated that the governor is invited to speak, which I have no doubt you would do a good job in presenting on behalf of the island. But I also believe that the political people should have been given the opportunity, with no disrespect to you, Governor, but I believe very, very strongly that the elected people in this country are the ones that run the government and run the country. And while I have no misgivings that the governor can give a speech, I believe that the political leader of the government should have also been afforded the opportunity to be able to make a presentation at such a August event in the United States. I heard the commissioner said that they would issue, I think you said at the end of March, invitations or something. I think the end of March is late. It's very late. And I would want government and the organizers, you said there's a committee. I wouldn't ask you to announce the committee here, but I think it is good that the Island Council know who the committee members are, who the task force are, because you got to hold people accountable. And so I believe that government should reconsider and trying to get out these invitations and notification ahead of time. I heard indeed, and I know based on protocol, that if you're having high-ranking officials from the US and elsewhere, that they would have to be done via foreign affairs. But our regional leaders would be invited, leaders in the Caribbean, leaders in the neighboring island, would they be invited? And if they would be invited, how early would these people be invited? Because like I said, these people don't wait for us. They plan the agenda since last year, what they're going to do at least for the first quarter, the second quarter for this year. So if these regional leaders would be able to have a them, and I still want to come back, Madam Speaker, on the issue of a year-long activity. January is gone, February is practically gone, but I think that we still should see something happening before the ending of the second quarter. Because if it is a momentous occasion, you would bring in different artists and other persons involved. I think it will also help to enhance the economic fabric of the society. So I think in deliberating with your committee or your task force, I think the idea should be raised that not just the week of Station Day, but at least we have a couple months in the year. Maybe it wouldn't be possible for February, maybe not even March, but at least from April, go back leading up to the 16th of November, that we have something being done in order to be able to showcase this whole thing more. Speaker, I just want to emphasize on the whole idea of the guest house. It was said that they are bad landlords. I think we know they are bad landlords. It may not be fixed because from what I'm seeing there, it's quite some time. But I want to remind the council, and I'm calling on government to look into this. As far as I know, we are still paying a monthly rent for this building, and we are not being able to use the building fully. And I want government to take this into consideration. People get mad when I say things, but when I'm doing my work, I am not in this friendship business. We either going to use it fully and appropriately for what we're paying, or we are not going to use it at all. Secondly, a motion I presented.
Councilman, tell you over the time.
Yes.
I will let you finish briefly.
Yes, I need to
But
revisit.
I will say that agenda point is important, what you are addressing.
Yes.
But that can be picked up and given report to the registrar
Yeah,
what
but
the
it's a
status is,
part,
but I'll let you just
it's
finish.
a part of the regional deal. So that's why I brought it up, because you mentioned
It is no
regional
longer
deal.
part of the regional
But okay,
deal.
but I
as
didn't know
in-
that until
yes.
now.
She-
But even that 10 and 25 minutes, I'm going to revisit it, because I remember we had a very intense discussion here about it, because it seemed that there are certain people, for whatever reason, want to silence the voices of the elected officials. I remember that point was discussed, and I had said on 2010. I'm hearing now 10-5, but I'm going to revisit it, and see how we could deal with it. But in any event, I expressed those concerns. You said that it's no longer part of the regional deal, but I will use the leverage of my office and hopefully get the support in the faction to follow up on the rest of it, because if we pay money for something that we are not being able to use it adequately, then I think the payment should be stopped. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. I just want to clarify a matter. The old regulation of order did not specifically had timelines in it. It was a practice that was used by the Island Council 20 and 10 minutes. The new regulation, I think it was established in the last quarter of 2025, stipulates 10 minutes and 5 minutes. But we have seen also here on the floor of the Island Council, depending on the topic, a member could request additional time, and then it needs the support of a majority of the council, and we have done that a lot, especially when it regards matters of the budget. We've had here on several occasions, Councilman, where you requested sometimes a 30-minute or even 1 hour and 30 minutes, and generally you did get the support for it. I just wanted to share that because those are the facts. Point of order or point of clarification? Yes?
Yes, what you indicated with the old regulation 2010, but I remember we had a discussion, I think it even during the time it was Down was involved to some extent, and normally it used to be 30 and 15, and there were some members who even wanted, was talking about 8 and 5. I objected, and I said I will compromise with 20 and 10. We don't tape these meetings anymore for whatever the reasons are. I guess people take shorthand and they write what is convenient to them, what is not convenient to them. It doesn't matter to me whether it's 10 or 5, because I could say a lot in a minute. But I'm just saying that when we put these things into practice or into writing, into laws, it could impact even future island council. And I think that it's a shame that in a democracy that you are trying, because I said so often we are not Holland. And I'm seeing that slowly but surely we want to bring in all the practices from Holland and put in here. And I said back then I didn't agree with that. I think we had agreed on 2010. I stand to be corrected. But whether it is 10, 15, or 1 minute, when I have to say what I have to say, I will say. And like I said, if I see I bring an agenda point here to be discussed and there's a need for hour, 2 hours, I will seek the support on this side of the aisles. And if I get that support, I will say what I have to say. And if I can't say, I will use radio time and I will bring it to the people. Thank you very much.
Councilman Van Putten. And again, for public awareness, this regulation of order of the Island Council 2025 was adopted by the members of the Island Council. With that, I would like to thank everyone for the, Commissioner Leerdam, you would like to give some response to Councilman Van Putten? You may take the floor, Commissioner Leerdam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to respond to the questions posed. The committee that traveled to America, it was based on an invite, and it took an opportunity to make some additional stops. The artifacts will be repatriated to the island, free of charge, William and Mary, and this will be on the warship. This will be coming via around the time of Station Week, so we won't be able to actually have them on display. The Heritage Inspector, who's no longer the Heritage Inspector, but now the Program Manager, has worked diligently to, I would say, foresee a lot of these things. And within the action agenda that we received the 5.3 million for, there's a building, a heritage building that we will be building. And in that building, we will be able to store all the artifacts from William and Mary. Right now, we have a temporary location that is the current Heritage House, which has been open for 3 years, very popular. I don't know whoever visited it. But I think last they were up to over 200 or 200 and maybe close to 300 visitors already since it's been opened. And the artifacts will be temporarily stored at the Heritage House if the new Heritage House is not built by then, which may be a bit of a challenge because, like I said, there's a lot of construction that will happen during this year. But the money has been received. We are now in the process of hiring a project manager and project leader because there's certain programs and projects under the action agenda that we need to have executed. Capacity is not in-house. So that is the next step. You will see vacancies coming out for those two functions. The program managers of the Reiki deal / who's also working towards the planning of Station 2026 morning program. The dry book is already finalized, so we will be having a discussion. And then, like I said, I would like to discuss this with the Island Council because it's very extensive. Based on what I've been getting information from and seeing, it's going to be a very extensive celebration. So we want to also pick the brains and get the input and a viewpoint from the council before we go public with it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Leerdam. Thank you, members of the Island Council, for sharing your insights and making suggestions. I will now go over on the voting on the agenda point 7, which is the Framework Establishment Foundation, Statia 2026. Councilman Van Putten, can we hear you express your vote?
Madam Speaker, I vote for.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Glenville Schmidt.
I vote for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty.
For, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady. Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I vote for.
Herewith, the Framework Establishment Foundation Statia 2026 is unanimously carried by the Island Council of St. Eustatius. Agenda point 8. Having said that, let me thank all those who were involved in front and behind the scenes to make this a reality. Thank you for your commitment. Agenda 8 is the travel dates, the Island Council for 2026. And the Island Council, in its authority, established an ordinance last year which regulates procedures for work visits abroad. In this regulation, it mentions that the Island Council will approve a list of dates for the coming year, which is now the year 2026. This list is prepared by the registrar and is pre-discussed with both faction leaders in the Presidium, which prepares the Central Committee and Island Council meetings. The list was further prepared and discussed during a closed-door session of the Central Committee last month and is now ready to be formally approved. As this topic should not require extensive debate, I now look to the Island Council to go over to a vote if this can be done by acclamation. What is the response of the Island Council? Okay, thank you, Council. The travel dates of the Island Council of St. Eustatius is herewith carried by acclamation. Travel dates for 2026. Announcements. This is agenda point 9. It regards the announcements of the Executive Council and the Island Governor. And this is per Articles 51 and 52 of the Regulation of Order. I now give the commissioners the opportunity if there are any announcements that you would like to make at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to inform the community that a team will be traveling from February 25th to March the 2nd to take part in the second year of the Insular Games on Bonaire, where all 6 islands will be competing. So this is the second year that we have the 6 islands. And this year will be Suriname also adding, so it'll be 7. And we'll be competing on a 3-on-3 basketball game. So, look out for them, give them some support. And I also will be accompanying them as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Merkman, are there any announcements on your part?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman, and there are no announcements on my part as Governor Chairperson of this meeting. I ask us all to rise as we enter into agenda point 10, which brings this meeting for today to a close. I want to thank the members of the Island Council for a fruitful discussion followed by very important decisions. Let us stand in respect of the local anthem, the Golden Rock Song. This meeting is herewith officially closed.